The goal is to see if I can teach you how to ride a motorcycle in under 5 minutes. So step 1, turn on the bike. Put it in gear first, and then slowly let out the clutch. Just get used to the feeling of the bike without the throttle and without the clutch. So right now we're traveling about 5-10 miles per hour. When I'm turning, I'm pulling in the clutch all the way and applying just a little bit of brake, but enough for it to keep rolling. So this is all without my right hand on the throttle. The biggest mistake is where people pull in the clutch and then they slam on the brakes really hard, on the front brake especially, which isn't a big deal. But to get you off on a better start, just go around the parking lot and do maybe 5 laps of just pulling in the clutch and lightly applying the front brake while putting in the clutch. The biggest thing about riding a motorcycle is that everything with each hand, your left hand is controlling the clutch, your right hand is controlling the throttle and the front brake, your right foot is controlling the rear brake, your left foot is controlling the shift mechanism, and then your upper body is important if you're not sitting up straight, if you're leaning forward, you're turning into the turn. Once you get comfortable with learning the clutch engagement point, then you start to apply the throttle a little bit and let go. I think that's one of the biggest parts that people should learn first is learning the throttle, right? So the first thing is that they just try to get rolling, but they don't just sit on the bike and get used to like rolling the throttle and letting it go, because once you get panic, kind of try to train your body ahead of time. A lot of people will end up either when they panic, they'll pull in the clutch and then the front brake, but then the hand will still be on the throttle and it'll be wide open throttle. Rolling the throttle and letting it go. Rolling the throttle and then off. Rolling the throttle on and off. Once you figure that out, maybe then you know to kind of get used to each body movement, controlling each thing. So engage first gear, clutch, rolling on and off the throttle, getting used to that, and try not to lock the front brake and down your bike. Basically, it's just teaching you to stop and go, come to a stop, and then turn. Like for me, I didn't take the MSF course. I just read the motorcycle handbook provided by the DMV, and I took the written test and got my permit for a year. And then I took the skill riders test at the DMV a year later and got my full license, no problem without that. The test was basically weaving do turns just like this. It was all first and second gear. And some of the trickiest points was making the U-turn, but they gave you the whole entire plaza to do a U-turn. So there was really no limit. And the other one was just quick throttle shift up to second, third, and then down, and then brake, and then a U-turn. And then back, first gear, rev, second, and then brake. That is basically the skill test right there. Another skill test would be weaving in and out of cones. So you can do that easily with just a little bit of practice in the parking lot, a few times, like 5-10 minutes before you go for a ride. I think that's where people are wasting their money at a motorcycle safety course. Because, okay, yeah, so you took the motorcycle safety course, but how many times do you practice that? Once? Then it's not really worth that $300, right? So I took this safety motorcycle safe course with the state troopers and the local police. What they told me was to apply my rear brake so the bike is straightened up, and then the front brake so the bike is more stable during a braking procedure. So it would be throttle, rear brake, front brake, and then reapply rear brake if you don't have ABS. So it would be like rear brake on, front brake on, rear brake off, rear brake on. Kind of like pumping the brake, which is what ABS does. Automatic braking system is just applying a quick braking system like this. Also, if you buy a used motorcycle and everything is working, so like the lights are working kind of like this, but the starter doesn't work, but you have the kill switch, everything seems like it's working, but the starter relay is not reacting to your button press. If you tap it quickly, you might be able to re-engage the magnetic switch mechanism after the bikes. So that's what happened with this bike. This bike's been sitting since 2012. I picked it up 5 months ago. And all I had to do to get this bike working was a new battery and just tap the... Once you hear that click, if you don't hear that click, you might be able to loosen up the starter relay by doing that. Another good tip to do around the parking lot is to do low speed turns. So I would often see the troopers or local police departments just doing these really big sweeping turns in their parking lot before they leave. Or they would just do like full turns, U-turns within 2 lanes. I didn't think I was going to make that, but that was cool. And then watch out for grassy areas. First step I would do is just turn on the bike and practice rolling on and off the throttle, because the biggest mistakes we see on new riders is in a panic situation they forget to roll off the throttle, and then 2, they press the front brake too quickly. What happens when you press the brake too quickly? If you don't catch it with your feet, the bike will go down. Especially with a heavy bike. This bike here is 380 pounds. Another thing I would learn is just the clutch. So, first step, aim it towards a tree, start it up, first gear, and this, no hand on the throttle, hands free, and just get used to the bike rolling forward, and then pull it in again. Again, 50%, let it roll forward, and then pull it in again. Just 1 foot at a time, slowly building it up. Slowly have to work the way up. So once you get confident to get a few feet of rolling, let's turn this around. Alright. So once you get used to it rolling at 50%, then you just let more of it out, again with no hand on the throttle, and we're just coasting at 6 to 10 miles per hour. This is where you really want to learn your braking, your rear brake and front brake at the same time. Really helps with a stable and the quickest braking possible. Once you get comfortable with that, start to roll on the throttle, pull in the brake or pull in the clutch, and then both front and rear brake. The more you do this, the more comfortable you get, just like riding a bicycle. And then once you learn that, start to kind of work the bike at low speeds, turning side to side. That's basically the skills test for a full motorcycles license at the DMV. And I forgot to turn on the petcock, so we're running out of fuel. So the DMV is basically just gas it, second gear, gas it, third gear, and then brake down to first, U-turn, gas it back, second gear, and then stop at a cone or something. That's basically the skills test, other than just weaving in and out. And there's really no simpler way than what I've just told you to learn how to ride a motorcycle in less than 5 minutes. But if we talk about common mistakes new riders makes, including myself, would be entering a corner at too high of a speed, or riding in the dark with a tinted visor, especially in the neighborhood without streetlights. Your visibility becomes really limited, and then you can run out of the road really quick when it starts to curve. That's what happened to me. I had the tinted visor in the middle of the night, no streetlights. The street was turning to the left. I panicked. I braked with my front brake, and I slid. And what happened is that I bent my driver's side foot peg, but I was wearing full gear, so I was able to walk away from that one roughly about 20 miles per hour. And the other most common thing is just going into the turn too fast, where you kind of overshoot it, or what they call kind of like oversteer or overshoot the turn, and that can end up pretty badly too. That happened to me once, but luckily I was able to kind of save it by practicing common MotoGP procedures, like leaning towards the inside of the turn. So if you're turning left, you push your upper body to the left, or pretty much if you're turning to the left, you put your face towards above or near the left handlebar, or to the right, you pretty much bring your body and your body weight towards the front of the handlebar on the right side. That really helps with shifting the motorcycle into a lean, giving you more traction and during the turn, or pretty much bringing the turn radius tighter. That's basically it. Just go out there and do it safely, and yeah. The biggest thing about riding a motorcycle is that